visiting us. So let's get started. Chapter 24 of My Jasper June. Like any other day. I was sprawled on the porch, elbows deep in pumpkin guts, when the screen door slammed and I looked up to see my mom holding out 2 cans of fizzy water. "I thought you girls might like a cold drink," she said. "Awfully warm for October. Doesn't really feel like Halloween, does it?" I shook my head and withdrew my hands, scooping out gobs of slimy seeds, and tossed the mess down with a splat on the newspaper spread around me. "Not even a little bit," I grumbled. Across from me, Jasper called out, "Thanks, Rachel. Can I have a lime?" "No fair," I said, wiping my hands on my jeans. "Lime's my favorite." "Sorry, kid," said Mom as she passed a green can to Jasper and set the cranberry water by my pumpkin. Then she leaned over to look at our pumpkins, frowned, and added, "Wow, these jack-o'-lanterns are going to be quite interesting." "What do you mean?" I asked, leaning back to examine my own pumpkin, on which I'd scribbled in black marker the outline of where I was about to start cutting. 3 triangles and a toothy grin, just like every other year. "His name is Shady McPumpkinhead," I said. "Of course it is," said Mom. "Of the Tennessee McPumpkinheads, yes?" I glanced over at Jasper's pumpkin, which was already finished. I had no idea what it was supposed to be. "Where's his nose?" I asked, tilting my head sideways for a different angle. "And the rest of his face?" Jasper tilted her head too. "What makes you assume it's a boy pumpkin?" she asked. I shrugged. "The patriarchy, probably." Jasper laughed. "Look, I refuse to be boxed in by your conventional holiday customs," she said. "My jack-o'-lantern is an abstract expression of autumn." "A protest pumpkin, eh?" said Mom. Jasper nodded. "Why not?" "No reason," said Mom, turning. "You rage against the machine all you want. I'm going inside to start dinner. We're having garlic chicken." The minute she was gone, Jasper grinned and whispered at me, "Garlic chicken with extra garlic." "Don't say I never warned you." "Truth," said Jasper, cracking open her fizzy water. I picked up my knife and stared at my pumpkin, trying to decide where to start cutting. "I can't wait for you to see Halloween in Ormwood," I said. "Trick-or-treating on Woodland is like nothing you've ever experienced. It's almost a festival. They block the street off and literally thousands of kids show up." "Literally thousands?" "No, I really mean it. Literally, like actually thousands. Andy around the corner keeps track each year of how much candy he gives out. Last year he ran out after 1,200 pieces." "You don't say," said Jasper. Then she seemed to drift off a little, like she was thinking about something. "I do say," I insisted, and shoved the knife into Shady McPumpkinhead's face, chopping out an eye with 3 quick movements. Then Jasper cleared her throat and said, "Hey, Leah?" I looked up. "Yeah?" "Well," she said, "it's just, I was thinking that maybe I could invite my sister to come over, bring her kids to trick or treat. What do you think?" "Oh," I said, laying down my knife, that would be awesome. I bet Dad would make some of his special apple cider soda." And Jasper rolled her eyes. "Be real, Leah," she said. "It will not be awesome. It's almost certain to be awkward, but I miss her, and I was thinking how it's strange you haven't met her yet. So I thought maybe it was a good time, and the kids will have a blast. If it's like you say, a festival." The truth was that sometimes I managed to forget all about Jasper's family. She'd slid so neatly into our house that it was easy to avoid thinking about all the hard stuff. The same way I could sometimes now, for a little while, avoid thinking about Sam. My brain got full of homework and chores and other things. I'd laugh and talk and be distracted for hours at a time. And then, in bed at night, Sam would come back with a whoosh, like he was sitting there on the foot of my bed, waiting for me when the lights went out. Sometimes at night, I still cried, alone. But I knew how to play the sad game now, and my therapist said that was a fine thing to do. I wondered if Jasper cried too when she was alone, maybe in the shower where we couldn't hear her over the water. Anyway, of course Jasper's sisters could come over for Halloween, and maybe her mom too. I knew she talked to them both, and that things were a little better, but she really hadn't told me much about any of that, and I didn't ask. I figured Mom and Dad were involved. Some days, the three of them got into the car and were gone for a few hours, and I knew that was how it should be. I trusted that things were okay, or at least they were better. It was nice after a summer of carrying secrets to let someone else guard them for a while. To trust. I felt lighter. Jasper started messing around with her phone then, texting someone really fast. So I took a sip of my soda and turned my attention back to Shady McPumpkinhead. Nobody said anything for a few minutes. I finished carving his mouth and decided to give him some ears. But suddenly I heard Jasper say, "Ew, gross!" And I looked up from my jack-o'-lantern to see that Mr. Face had silently joined us on the porch. He was sitting politely on the mat, a mouse between his teeth. "Oh!" I said. He held the creature delicately, like always. Only this time, since I was sitting on the ground, he was basically at eye level. After a moment, he turned his head to look at Jasper the same way. Then, ever so gently, he laid his precious bundle on the mat, turned, and ran off. Jasper shuddered. "Ugh, trick or treat, Mr. Face," she said as she stretched a long leg to nudge at the mouse with her foot, kick him off the porch. But I reached out and grabbed her leg, stopped her. "No, wait," I said. "Why?" she said. "It's gross." "Just because," I said. "I know it seems gross, but it's not. And I don't think so anyway. Just wait and watch." "Watch what?" she asked, staring at me baffled. "A dead mouse?" "You'll see," I said. And then the little brown mouse slowly uncurled itself, like I knew he would. He sat up on his haunches and gave a quick shake, as if waking up from a nap. He brushed his whiskers lightly with his paws, and then he peered up at each of us briefly before he scampered off the mat, across the porch, down the stairs, and into the azaleas. We followed him with our eyes until he was gone. Jasper shook her head. "Whoa, did you see that?" "I know," I said. "How did you know that was going to happen?" "I've seen it before," I said. Jasper's eyes were wide. "Seriously?" she said. "That's more than weird. That's impossible. It's like actual magic. I almost don't believe it happened." "Maybe it is magic," I said. "Or maybe he's just a really lucky mouse. You know, it's funny how once you see something unbelievable happen a few times, it stops being so unbelievable." Jasper didn't answer me. She just sat there for a second, holding her can of soda. And for once, I couldn't read her face. She looked thoughtful, and I wondered what she was thinking, sitting like that for so long. "What?" I said finally. "What is it?" Jasper shook her head gently. "Nothing," she said. Or not nothing, I guess. I feel lucky, you know? I nodded. I smiled. "I do know," I said. And that was true. Jasper pushed herself up to standing. "You know what would make this day absolutely perfect?" "Tell me." "Ice cream," she replied. "Oh, indeed. Ice cream is the best idea." And it was. Ice cream suddenly sounded just right. It was still hot in the sunshine. Maybe we could share a banana split. Perfect. Then Jasper reached down a hand to me, and I grabbed on. She pulled me up, and we ran inside to wash our hands. In no time at all, we were back on the porch with the screen door slamming. We took off down the steps and headed for Morelli's and a banana split to share. Just like on any other day, we shuffled through the dry leaves and faded grass of autumn. Just like on any other day, we talked and laughed as we hurried along. Just like on any other day, the sky was big and blue above us, and the pavement was cracked beneath our feet. All around us, the world was full of things, lights and shadows and air and wind and noises and cars moving and trees growing and kudzu vining and cats pouncing and everyone living their lives. The world was so big and so full, and that was just fine. But most of it didn't concern us. Not me and Jasper. Not right now. That's it.